happy Saturday. Welcome back to Your Questions, Your Money. For the next 2 hours, we're talking about your entrepreneurial spirit. We got a fabulous,
the flame.
Yeah. John Rutledge is here to talk about the blue flame that comes out of your butt. All right, let's go through our panel first. Venture capitalist Dennis Miller from Spark Capital. He's actually been through it all. He helped finance college sports television at his last firm, and he's worked at Lionsgate, Sony Pictures Entertainment. He joins us from Boston. This is like a media and entertainment guru here.
So we're really excited that you're here with us, Dennis, this hour. We also, of course, want to welcome John Rutledge. He needs no introduction, Mr. Blue Flame himself, along with Dani Babb of the Babb Group. And what's your latest book, Dani?
The Online Professor's Practical Guide to Starting an Internet Business.
That's why I let you say it.
And the Accidental Startup.
A financial planner, Joe Clark of Financial Enhancement Group. Anything you want to know about tax planning, your books for your business. He joins us from Indiana. And Roy Lebenthal is here as well to answer your questions, the owner and mastermind behind Pop Burger. You want to get to the phones?
You got to get to the phones. I got to stop staring at the burgers, though. Bobby calls in from Georgia. Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm fair. How are you?
Good. What's your question?
Fair.
I want to know, how is this thing going to survive when small business can't? They cut every small business person I've talked to from Texas to North Carolina, you can't get any credit. They've cut our bank line of credit off.
Well, I have a little bit of good news for you, Bobby, and that is that the...
I hadn't seen it.
well, I'm going to give it to you.
I don't see it.
That's why you called.
And I went to the bank Friday, and I didn't see it.
Bobby, we're going to find you good news. Hang on.
We'll give you some good news. I have two banks. I have actually left my notes, so I don't have the names of them. But if you send me an email, I'll have the notes. Actually, I may have it here in the next, 30 minutes. Two banks that are working with the Small Business Administration that are lending at record levels. I'll get you the names of them. The second thing is that the
administration is worthless in my book, and I've been in business 50 years.
These are actually capital companies that are working with the SBA but are giving money despite your ability or inability to qualify under the SBA. So that's one thing. But the most important thing is that the government is actually taking and buying they're injecting $15 billion. Right now, what happened is the banks have about $3 billion sitting on their balance sheets of debt that they can't sell to anyone. That's small business debt. They need that cleared off so they can lend again. The government, as much as we hate the government's intervention, they are giving $15 billion to help clear that and allow for $12 billion more in lending. So most of us are expecting that to sort of start to wash through later on this year. It's not right now, but at least it is some positive news.
What are you seeing, John?
Well, later on this year is a long time for Bobby. So let's, Bobby, there's a chart of the loans you're talking about. It's on my blog, which is called rutledgeblog.com, that shows you bank loans to small businesses. And what you'll see is that about 2 months ago, when the government came out with these wonderful programs they announced to save the banks, at the same time they shut off the credit to small business, because today, if you're a big bank, you should all they're doing is selling stuff to the government, and they've shut off all the other spigots, not only small business working capital, which I bet is your problem, but also personal credit lines and home equity lines for mortgages and things like that. And Dani's right that there are things happening there trying to crack through that. Mostly it's also the Federal Reserve has printed a mountain of money that's trying to push its way through the banks, but probably won't be before the end of this year before you see any break in that at all. And without business loans from banks, small businesses cannot meet payroll. Next week there's a jobs number. The jobs number is going to stink. It's going to be down 600,000 more jobs.
85% of small business money is coming from community banks, so don't look to
Absolutely. Go to the little banks.
Joe, what are you seeing in terms of credit flowing?
We've been able to see banks give, here in the Midwest at least, the people who have really needed the credit have been able to get it. Maybe not as easy, not as much, but most of the businesses that have valid models are able to get it. But what I would say to him in my own small business and in the other ones that are out there in the country, this is where you're able to really maximize scenarios, cutting out some of the fat that shouldn't have been there in the first place and really getting down to discipline. What I worry about is when you have businesses that are supported in other areas in an unfair way. And that's why we have some of the issues with the bigger bailouts.
Thank you for opening that can of worms, Joe. Thank you for opening that can of worms.
Hey, I love you guys. It's Saturday morning. Let's have some fun. But, you know, as long as we can keep it on an even playing field, it's fine. And I think you're seeing that. But go to the community banks. That's who we deal with. And there is money there for good business models.
Hey, listen, in the last 6 months, total loans to small businesses have dropped by $100 billion across the country. It's mostly the big banks, so I agree with Joe that you're much better off, and Danny, with a smaller bank than a bigger one, but it's tough out there to get money.
Dennis, really quickly, what about how much money do you have ready to put to work? What kind of investments are you making? It's not loans, but it's money to businesses who want to grow.
Yeah, it's definitely high risk, investment, but this is, even though there's a decrease in venture money across, the continuum right now, where you're looking at about 250 to 300 million to put to work in our second fund. So this is a wonderful time to be investing. There's less competition, there's less money, there's not 10, companies in every category. So we are in the high risk, high reward business. So this is, for venture, this is a particularly interesting time.
All right, well, we're going to take more of your questions, so keep calling because there's so much good information coming around here. Keep those calls coming, keep those emails coming. We'll be right back.
We're fired up. Tracy Burns got no sleep last night. And she's excited to be here.
It's all good.
Welcome to the Fox Business Network, here to answer your questions about your business. So call us.
877-249-9626. You can always email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
Michelle is joining us from Illinois on the phone. Michelle, go ahead. Ask your question. What do you want to know?
Yes, I have a friend. We're both small business owners, but he owns a major franchise, and right now the business is struggling. And outside of maybe flyers and word of mouth, I was just trying to see if he had any other ideas for low-cost marketing ideas to drum up business.
You call the right place, because Dani Babb is all about low-cost marketing.
What's the business? What's the
what's the business?
Well, I won't say the name of the franchise, but it is in the food service industry.
Is it a restaurant? Is it a restaurant?
Yes, it's one of the major sandwich companies, I should say.
Doesn't the franchise market and advertise for you then?
Yes, they do, but one of the problems is my friend was telling me that they only provided limited marketing. They were also having him do additional marketing on his own. So they're getting limited help.
They're going to, yeah, exactly, Michelle. They're going to give you the bare bones to hopefully help you be successful, and that's about it. So here's what I would recommend that you do. First of all, if you have the ability to do coupons, since you own some sort of restaurant, I would be out there on Twitter and every blog you can possibly think of, and offering 10% off or $1 off, something like that, something that makes people feel like it becomes viral, where they start to forward it to other people. That's one option. In terms of cheap marketing, there's a website out there. I believe it's called Outsource from India, and you can go on there and you can give a set amount, say $50, $100, whatever you want to do, and you have someone that's overseas basically logging into forums, blogs, etc., posting all about your company and what you do and where you're at, putting in telephone ads, and they do it all for a flat fee. They'll be out there marketing like crazy online for you, and they report back to you at the end of every day in terms of what they've done. That helps a lot. But have some sort of e-commerce, even if it's just a homepage that has the menu, hours, deal of the month, and et cetera, something that's a basic, simple homepage. But honestly, I would use Web 2.0 marketing and get it out there.
Roy, how'd you get the name out there? I mean, aside from somebody stumbling in at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No, but you know how to create buzz better than anybody, because you're in the nightlife and restaurant.
But so how did you start it off?
Well, I think part of what Pop Burger was always about was about the nightclub element. And when we opened, certainly when we opened the first Pop Burger, it sort of set a fire off with all sorts of celebrity culture, and celebrity culture seems to get a lot of press.
Was the location so key? I mean, you opened in the meatpacking district of Manhattan. That's a really hot district, a lot of clubs, a lot of restaurants, a lot of celebrities hang out down there. That had to have helped you a ton.
The location certainly helped a lot. It was an emerging nightlife district, which the meatpacking district in New York City is. And we had opened with a succession of parties. We hosted a party for Calvin Klein during our opening. We hosted a party for Janet Jackson during our opening. So certainly celebrity culture brought a lot to Pop Burger. And I remember the first night seeing LeBron James walk in. You know, so I sort of had a smile on my face.
So just get
Michelle,
just get Janet Jackson.
Yeah, no, but I think that there is ideas to be derived from what Roy did. You do it on a different scale. We're not talking about getting celebrities into a restaurant, but it's about drumming up buzz for a restaurant and doing special things. And maybe it's getting the mayor in.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's
I was
getting
going
the
to say,
mayor
or
in.
host a church party, or host a local something.
Or the Little League.
Get people in.
Baseball team, absolutely.
Right, after a game, get the kids in with their parents
Absolutely.
and give them a discount.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Danny?
Oh, I was just gonna say that, you know, most people, particularly if it's like a Subway chain or something like that, you know, it's kind of cookie cutter. So you have to differentiating yourself is not really the key there. It's more getting the word out and making people know that you're there and making them feel like they're getting a really good deal. And
In
you're
an
probably not
lousy
going to
economy,
get
the
you're probably
price.
not going to get something written up in Us Weekly about, you know, who visited your restaurant. So it's, you have to use different techniques, but certainly the marketing aspect will help.
But especially in a small local town, you get a chain like a Subway that does right by the Little League kids. Next thing you know, everybody shows up.
Right.
Yeah, and give each one of them a coupon for the next kid to bring the two more in.
Chips.
Right.
We actually sponsor our local girls softball team, Pop Burger.
See that?
Yeah.
There you go. And you're going to need that with the car dealers having so much trouble. You need those sponsorships anywhere else, anywhere you can go.
Girls softball team's not going to know what to do without those auto dealers.
Let's get to the phones. Al is calling from my home state. Go ahead, Al. Ask your question.
Hi, I'm a 1099 consultant with market research operations. I primarily have one client, make about $100,000 a year, and we support a couple of hundred other clients. I also have a rental property which generates about $20,000 a year in income. And I wanted to know, right now I file as an individual taxpayer. A couple of questions. One, is there any advantage to incorporating from a tax or legal or other perspective? And then secondly, as an individual, I buy my own health insurance, and I'm paying like $1,600 a month for a family. And is there some trade association, like Small Business Association, that I could join that would help on the health insurance issue and or legal and liability issues? And I have another one if there's time.
Joe, let's start with you with the tax issue. I mean, we all know that individual taxes are going up. He reports his small business on his personal tax return right now. Tax rates goes up. That means his business income goes up as well. Should he be thinking about incorporating right now? Not that our corporate tax rates are any cheaper, but.
No, what's going to happen, and what you need to understand is the kind of corporation you're looking for, my friend, is one that's going to protect you from liability much more than it's going to impact your tax side. You certainly don't want to be what we call a regular corporation or a C Corp. So you'd be a limited liability company or an S Corp. That's going to flow through. It's going to be the same taxes. So the only thing you're trying to do is protect yourself from the liability. You may want to think about trying to separating your consulting business, which is a professional corp for all intents and purposes, away from the real estate, though, to create a boundary or a barrier there. But from a tax standpoint, I'm afraid you're in the same mess with the rest of us.
That's
a Small Business Association or something from the health insurance perspective. I mean, we shopped around, and it was about $1,600 seemed to be about the best we could do. Is there like a Small Business Association of America kind of thing that I could join that might help on that, or?
There are buying organizations that are out there, but with health insurance, it is really, really a tough thing to do. Most of them that I've seen, and I'm not saying that there's none out there, but the majority of them that I've seen are really a marketing plan to try to get you in for other things more than really giving you any real power for your dollar.
those health savings accounts that were created for just that reason.
Yeah, and I actually have an idea for you. If you have you had your rental property for at least 5 years?
No, just 3.
For 3, okay. You and I are in similar boats. We're filing on Schedule E and Schedule C and Schedule E.
Yes.
I agree that with Joe that there's not really any benefit to making this any sort of corporation, except with the rental property. And I'll tell you one thing. I belong to the Landlord Protection Agency. You should check them out. It's the LPA.com. And one of the things that they help you do is figure out how to basically protect yourself. And one of the problems that we're seeing out there, a lot more common today, is tenants suing their landlords when something happens. So that's where putting I agree here, what Joe had said this, moving the rentals into an LLC, which is how I have mine set up now, and then getting an umbrella policy that covers the rentals and also covers you personally. So I would do that. In terms of the insurance, there is one option, and that's you can use your 3 years.
The pitch.
My favorite graphic on the whole network, by the way, is the pitch. It is.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back.
I didn't come up with it.
Right.
No, I didn't come up with it.
It's awesome.
No, who did?
Can we put
Pete
angels
Frangi.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, I'm a mother of a little leaguer, so I think it's even cooler.
Our venture capitalist is Dennis Miller of Spark Capital. Dennis, we're so excited about this. And making the pitch is Upinder Rice-Soda from San Diego, California. So, Upinder, pitch away, keep it short, make it snappy. Dennis has worked in the media business, so it's got to be a good elevator pitch. So go ahead.
Just in case our listeners do not know, when I refer to Bollywood, it is the film industry in India. Just like Hollywood is located in Los Angeles, Bollywood is located in Mumbai in India. What we want to do is to set up a film acting school, a Bollywood film acting school in the heart of Hollywood. There are a lot of people from North America who go, these are people of Indian descent and other ethnicities as well, who go to Hollywood to Bollywood from Hollywood to try to break into the industry there. And they go with little training, they go with little knowledge of how to market themselves there. And this is where our school comes in. What we want to do is not only teach them the fine art of acting, but also the art of marketing, the personal skills, and how to go about Bollywood. We want to show them the way in Bollywood. Our revenue streams are going to be from tuition fees. We're going to also act as the agents in Bollywood if they want us to do so. And also, we would be setting up production facilities here. This will be an on-camera training school, so that our students, our graduates have, they know what it is like to be on a Bollywood set when they're done with the school. So we would be renting out those facilities to other production companies as well. I am a producer and a director as well. Our company, Central Station Media, has done over 300 commercials. We have done music videos. We've done short films. We've done a feature film. I have a website, www.imagocine.com. It's imagocine.com.
I'll make a note.
All right, go ahead, Dennis. You can go ahead and ask him questions.
I think I got it. Let me just understand, are these going to be Indian actors that want to break through into the U.S. television and movie industry, correct?
No, it's the other way around. It's Indian people of Indian ethnic origin who live in North America who want to go to Bollywood to break into the film industry there. But we are seeing not only Indian Indian actors alone. We are seeing mainstream American actors have approached me asking me about Bollywood. So we feel that though we may start off with marketing towards the Indian community in North America, we would expand our base as we go along.
I got it. You know, a couple of suggestions. You know, talent agencies. My brother-in-law happens to run a talent agency in Hollywood, so I'm fairly familiar with the business and have dealt with those folks for a long time. They are, you know, service-oriented businesses. They don't necessarily scale particularly well. I think you want to probably associate with one so you get the benefits of all of the infrastructure, relationships, everyone they know. Maybe have a, you know, kind of a very close association with one of the existing agencies. I think you want to, Bollywood is a, you know, phenomenal growth industry. Probably the awareness of that industry is not as great as it should be, so I think you're going to need to do some work just in creating greater awareness in the talent circles in California, New York, you know, key places like that. I think you want to keep your costs, you know, way down. You probably want to have one or two key Bollywood actors who crossed over. And obviously with the success of Slumdog, this is a really interesting time to be doing it. But have them as your spokespeople that are, you know, probably hosting some events in and around Hollywood and New York to talk about this story and bringing, you know, Indians from the United States and North America over to Bollywood. So I think it's I don't know if it's a venture capital idea, but I think it's a smart business idea to take advantage of this, you know, moment in time and an industry that has a tremendous growth curve in India right now. It's really about creating awareness. And I think to keep your costs down associating with an existing agency, maybe you could be an adjunct or maybe get them to joint venture with you so you get the benefits of all their experience and knowledge while you bring, you know, what's unique to Bollywood to the table.
Dennis,
it's not only the...
Go ahead, Upinder. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's not only the agency business, it's also the teaching business. Our main revenue would be from tuition fees, though.
How much money are you looking for, sir?
$2 million.
Yeah, $2 million is $2 million is the new $20 million in this economy. I think you want to keep your initial costs down to probably $500,000 or less. Use the benefit of the talent that you hopefully from all the commercials that you've made have available, and start to build one or two success stories there. If you do that on a low-cost basis, then more money will follow. But a $2 million's kind of a tweener right now. It's more than a seed investment. It's a little less than a Series A investment. So I think you want to be, start it small, keep your costs way down, and if you can show some traction, you'll attract some additional capital.
Dennis, with $500,000 investment, where should he go looking for that? Just broad suggestions.
Yeah, I think, most venture, we're one of the exceptions. There are a few others, stray away from kind of pure talent, pure content plays. But I think you've got a tremendous number of high net worth folks, both in Bollywood and in the U.S., media industry. Again, maybe you go to, a company like Reliance, maybe you go to one of the talent agencies to get this thing seeded, and you bring in maybe 2 investors for $250 each, get it started, let them have a small piece of the company. And start to build it from there. But I would say I'd stay away from traditional venture capital and probably focus on a couple of high net worth but very connected individuals or companies in the business.
It always comes back to who you know and how many contacts you have, correct?
It certainly does, and I'm happy to help this gentleman with his first contact after we're off the air here.
Yeah, I know, because if you say, but overall, Dennis, you do like the idea.
Yeah, I think the idea, and again, I'm distinguishing it between being a big scalable venture capital idea, but I think that Bollywood is a tremendous growth industry. It's one of the few markets that is really enjoying continued success across a lot of verticals right now. No signs of that abating. So, and with talent getting less and less jobs in the United States, TV under a lot of margin compression, less movies except for big tentpole movies, I think there's a surplus of actors looking for additional work. They used to go to Canada, they used to go to commercials in Japan, and I think Bollywood's a very interesting opportunity for them.
Dennis, I love your background because you're a JD. You have your Juris Doctorate. You were with Bear Stearns. You can see this stuff from all different angles. You fall into the media and land in the media and entertainment business. I mean, you're involved with the Gospel Channel. What are you seeing? What's the trends now in this whole media entertainment world?
I don't, I certainly, as you pointed out, had an eclectic career and spent time on the cable side and in advertising and now venture capital. I think I chose this profession for this part of my life because I don't think there's been a more interesting time in terms of, media and technology bumping into each other. The fact that, I was on an airplane traveling from Boston to San Francisco, and the woman next to me was watching a live Yankees game streamed on her computer to Wi-Fi on the Virgin America flight. And I thought, and virtually in high def, and I thought, wow, we live in really interesting times. And when you see that going on, when you see, consumers and today's generation of audience now getting their content from so many different sources in so many different ways, a tremendous dislocation, that's a really exciting time to be investing. Anytime you have that kind of disruption, that kind of maximum paranoia and minimum clarity is when I think venture and startups really thrive.
Dennis,
so this is a really fun time.
What type of businesses are you looking to put money into? What is hot in your mind?
We're trying to, we invest in companies that we think are going after very big markets and we try to look out the next 3 to 5 years and figure out what's the world going to look like then. We try to stay away from kind of being a fast follower in the middle. We like to do very disruptive things very early and back a very zealous entrepreneur who's got a big idea. or something that we think is going through a significant disruption and going to be interesting on the other end. So we've been in everything from, significant hardware companies. My partners have backed companies in the past like Akamai. One of my partners recently invested in Twitter, which you may have heard about. We tend to be, fairly eclectic, but looking for, zealous entrepreneurs going after really big markets, and that's our theme.
It's a good one.
Yeah, more about Twitter after this, but right now we want to thank Upender Rasada from San Diego. It was great of you to be here. I'm so glad you could join us on the TV as well. I hope that was helpful. And best of luck to you.
That was chock full of information, and I too. I think the ideas
I love
got
the
legs.
I know. I just like hearing the ideas. Thank you, Upender. Thank you so much.
All right, well, we still have plenty of time for your calls and your emails, so get on the phone, 877-249-9626. You can always email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
In the next hour, another pitch, but so much more. An hour and 15 minutes left to get your questions in. Stay with us. We are the Fox Business Network, where we're open for business on Saturdays. I'm Dagan McDowell along with Tracy Burns.
Happy Saturday. It's good stuff today. And of course, we've been talking about GM all along, but now we're focusing on your small business entrepreneurial ideas. So get on the phone, make sure you call us. We have Jose from New York. What's your question, sir?
Hello. Question. My partner and I have a great product idea for the grocery food industry. We are planning to start a business. We believe we have a very strong business idea. The plan is not finished yet, and the require managerial experience to run the company. However, we don't have personal funds or personal assets, at least significant. Therefore, we were thinking to use a mix of angel investment and an SBA loan in order to get the business running. So my two questions would be, I have heard angel investors wouldn't like to invest with us if we don't show personal funding. The question would be, can the SBA loan be used as the personal funding they request? And the second question is, I was going through the SBA loan application, and the only collateral we can show are the future assets that we're going to purchase with the loan itself. And also, in the owner's personal application, they request us to list our personal assets. But at this point in time, we are young guys, just MBA grads, and our only personal assets are our vehicles and our monthly rents, So how do you see, is this something that is going to be a problem to get an SBA loan?
What is your business, sir?
It's not. We don't have a business yet. We have a business idea, and we are building the business plan.
What's the idea?
Oh, the idea is to have new kind of potato chips, but in a different structure. I would prefer not to speak about it because it's not being able to patent it yet. But it's in the line of the snacks, salty / sweetie snack.
Okay, so it's an innovative potato chip.
Yes.
And you need money.
Yes.
All right,
thank you.
Narrow this down here.
All right. Eat them?
They're edible, right?
Sorry?
We can eat them. I mean, this is a snack. We're going to eat this, sell it as a snack.
Yes, you're going to eat it. You're going to buy it in Whole Foods, in Trader Joe's, this type of stores.
Hey, at least you know where you want to sell it.
High-end, so it's a high-end, probably organic, uber-healthy potato chip.
Most probably.
Jose, you have a very good question, and that is about the collateral required and how you're going to, if you have to use your personal funds. As you know,
I don't have them. So.
Right, I understand that. And as you know, you have to have 10% of your own collateral. You're asking if you get different funding, if you can use your SBA loan as the collateral. And the answer to that question I'm going to leave to John Rutledge. I'm going to answer the question about the SBA and how you can apply for a loan. There is an institution. If everybody goes to thebabbgroup.com by tonight, I will post the name of the institution in the forums on the Entrepreneur Fox viewer thing. I will post the name of a company that is actually working, giving you the 10% that you need when you don't have it, and then helping you, walk you through the process to get the 90%, and they're doing it all for 1% of total cost, which is a really good deal. So I'll post that tonight. But yes, the goal here is that they're going to want to see, since you don't have any collateral, this particular organization that's helping is going to want to see that your debt in the future, after 1 year, your income will be $1.2 for every dollar of debt that you're going to have. So if you can meet that criteria, after 1 year of being in business, they're going to help you out. So I'll post that tonight.
Thank you.
Roy, I wanted to, how did you initially fund this business, and how are you funding the growth?
We are working currently with one investor right now who's been capitalizing the growth of Pop Burger.
How'd you find that person?
He is in a similar industry, and I pitched him on the idea, and he was actually a customer at Pop Burger, and I knew that he was in the industry, and I spoke to him about whether or not he'd like to expand the idea, and he said he would.
But we've talked about this before. Remember, Fizzy Lizzy did this. She said she went on the web actually looking for people to partner up with.
She found somebody.
She found somebody.
She needed somebody to help her in the development of the drink, and she found
so that's
a chemist.
Jose's second question was about whether the angel investors will use the SBA money. Can you answer that for him?
Well, I think it was whether the SBA will allow you to use the assets you're buying with the money as collateral. I think no. But what you can do is you can get that 10% money that Dani talked about from a third party, bring that in from the outside, show that to the SBA as your collateral. That third party is going to be an individual, not an institution.
Or a relative.
Yeah, or a relative. And so that person is going to want a piece of the action for that. But if you can do that and give up 10% of your business for that, I'd consider that a victory. But you need to find somebody with cash in their jeans who can do that for you.
Dennis, really quickly, I wanted to just ask you, I know you don't invest in, well, food companies, but what about the plethora of ideas and pitches out there? Do you see the spark in people, and do you see incredible innovation going on?
We certainly see incredible innovation. You know, we tend to avoid kind of the generic business plans that come out of so many business schools and, you know, usually have the same matrix like everyone else, checking off boxes and things. But I think, you know, you know, we probably get thousands of pitches, you know, every year on new ideas. But there is no lack of innovation. There is a tremendous amount of interest right now in how, at least in the areas that we're particularly focused on, media and technology, how those two big tectonic plates are going to, you know, what it's going to look like after they're done crashing into each other as they currently are. So we're very encouraged with the, you know, the quality of ideas and entrepreneurs that are, you know, coming through the door right now.
How do I get in the door?
I was just going to say that.
How do I get in the door?
Front of you?
You know, I don't think it's as hard as, you know, people say. There are, you know, lots of investors out there right now. There's lots of venture capital groups, and there's big pockets of them, as you know, in Silicon Valley, in D.C., in Boston, in New York. And everybody is, in particular this connected world we live in between Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and so many other, you know, so much connective tissue out there that you are 2 degrees away from just about everybody and anybody. And, you know, if somebody can't figure out a way to connect to somebody at one of these shops, then you have to kind of wonder how tenacious are they going to be about building their business. So I think it's really smart. Find somebody who understands your business, as some of the previous guests have talked about, and help them, you know, give you some advice. They'll get you to the right VC for the right kind of product. And then you go from there. But there's, you know, life is a lot easier right now in terms of getting in and finding, you know, the right person to connect with out there, given all the tools that you have available.
People are looking for good ideas.
Next hour, more on your business, starting one, growing one, making it happen. 877-249-9626. We'll be right back.
Hey, happy Saturday. This is the Fox Business Network, and we're taking your questions about your business and your entrepreneurial blue flame.
Patrick is calling from California. Patrick, go ahead. What do you want to know? Hey, Patrick. Go ahead. Go ahead, Patrick.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, first I'd just like to tell you how much I enjoy Fox Business Network. Kind of geeky that way, but I watch it a lot.
Geek to enjoy us?
Yeah, you do.
No, come on.
Yeah, you do.
Because we're big. We're big old loser geeks, and we're happy about it. Both Tracy and me. Go ahead, Patrick.
So anyway, I'm just moved to California in the process of getting my real estate license, and I've found that California. I just moved from Oregon. California law on marketing and advertising are more lenient than in Oregon. So I found that I'd be able to do some of the really cool, fun things I wanted to do in California. Was told that I wouldn't be allowed to do because there's an enticement. And so my question is, how would one go about approaching a PR marketing firm to maybe work on a contingency or on a partner basis?
Well, I guess the big question is, does he even need to hire anybody? Can't he do this himself, Danny?
Well, what are you trying to accomplish in your real estate business? Are you an agent?
Yes, I'm an agent.
And you're licensed now, right?
I'll take my final exam Monday. But
yeah. Okay, yeah. So you'll be licensed here really soon. All right. Well, first of all, I would use Active Rain, which is where the major realtors, if you're going to become a NAR member, are advertising and promoting their product. And there's a huge network there. You can get together with a bunch of other realtors online,
well,
and so that's an option.
The thing here, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is what I'm doing is I'm kind of an anti-real estate agent. I'm not
me too.
And I've found in my years of working real estate agents, they're very much not out of the box. They have no creativity. And this is something that, because I just moved here, I don't know a lot of people. I need to put myself out there. And I know people are still going to buy and sell homes, and I need to get more of them to do it with me. So what I want to do is, it's a big lead generating thing, and it culminates in a big event.
All right, Danny, go. Try breaking down your business. Here's what I would recommend. Take all the things that a realtor does and break it out into a whole bunch of little parts and let people buy it on an individual basis. Sell the pieces. I think that's the future of the real estate market. I'm also licensed in California. That's what I would do if I were you.
More ahead. We have one more hour, but in the last hour, we want to thank our very, very special guest, Roy Liebenthal, Pop Burger founder. If you want to have fun when you're in New York, that's where you go. Roy, thank you so much. And Dennis Miller of Spark Capital. Incredible insight. Dennis, we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you so much. Coming up, a lot more, including The Pitch. Stay with us. It's your questions, your money, everybody, and welcome. Time flies. We've got 1 hour to go, but we can cover so much in an hour. Anything you want to know about starting, growing, making your business a smashing success. I'm Dagan McDowell along with Tracy Burns, and we want to hear from you. So, Tracy, tell them how to get in touch with us. You know the number by heart by now.
Time flies, though. I got to say, this show flies. And it makes you want to go out and start your own business. So call us, 877-249-9626. Always email us your money at foxbusiness.com. There is so much information to be gained just from listening to these people here.
Oh, and our next guest can tell you how to raise money, because he just did for his business. Earl Gallagher is here. He is co-founder and CEO of Basho Technologies, a company that makes software tools to help analyze and improve sales and marketing. He's the former executive vice president of Akamai, where he helped build their sales, marketing, customer service business, led brand development there and global expansion. I did say that right, Earl.
That's right.
Because it was spelled wrong. So I was like, I think it's Akamai. Earl, it's great of you to be here. But question after question after question we get is raising money to fund a business. And you did just that. 2 million closed just in April. Tell us how you did it. Tell us how easy or difficult it was.
Well, it's really difficult. We started developing our software technology in January of 2008, and we tried to raise venture capital, and frankly, in the last year, we presented to over 70 venture capital firms all over the country, including this guest, including Spark Capital, pretty much every venture capitalist there is. And there's really, it seems to me there's very limited access to. It just feels like venture capitalists are not much in the mood to take a great deal of risk at this point. And so what that forced upon us was to begin looking at angel investors, which we were able to raise last year, $3 million in angel investment in April of last year. And then we began to, the market, the fourth quarter of last year was about as rough a quarter for normal businesses, but as well our business, and pretty much everything froze up. Venture capitalists, they basically weren't even interested in meeting with you to talk about an investment, and we were burning about $450,000 a month. So we had to do a very serious restructuring of the business. We had 50 employees. We eliminated down to 9 employees, just core software developers, and that repositioned us to be able to raise $2 million, which we just closed on. and we have $2 million remaining. We have an open round presently, pre-money valuation $50,000. So if you want to invest, come on. We got room for you. And so we're going to raise that next two, and we've just entered revenue service. And so things are looking very good for us, and it does feel like the economy is coming back.
What about when you went to raise, you said because of the cost cutting that you did, that opened the door to raising this additional $2 million. And did it also have something to do with just a turn in at least sentiment? And a turn in how people were feeling about willingness to commit to risk?
Venture capitalists rightly do not like to see huge cash burn rates without visibility on revenue in the very near term. And our burn rate was exceptionally high for the amount of money we had in the bank. And so we'd go to present to some venture capitalists, and they'd say, hey, you know what, your burn rate's too high. We're going to pass on you for right now, even though we like your business. But now we addressed that, and we were kind of forced to because of the economy, and basically people just stopped buying. The month was November. The world stopped in November of 2008, and people stopped buying just about anything. So we were really forced into a position where, to survive, we had to absolutely get rid of, unfortunately, a whole bunch of employees. And we determined what's our core asset. It's our technology. Let's eliminate everything else. We've got great developers, and that has in turn made us far more attractive to investors. And we've gotten very good interest from angel investors. And interestingly, because of the sentiment with venture capitalists, which are really not in a risk appetite right now. I know some firms in Boston, $250 million funds that haven't made an investment in a year.
I mean, but you could argue all that's happened to you it's a good thing. I mean, what'd you get your cash?
It's a good thing.
Your cash burn rate down to? You said you were at $450,000
We're now down about we're $130,000 a month, and
I mean,
we're
so
entering revenue
good or bad,
service.
you probably needed to do that anyway.
Oh, I think that's right, and I think the process, as painful and difficult, and in fact, when we presented to GrowTech with Don's firm here.
Let's introduce, it's Don Rainey of GrowTech Ventures. He's joining us again. Don, it's good to see you.
And Don liked our business, and he was a great advocate for us with the firm. The firm had some concerns. I think Don would have proceeded with us, but the firm had some appropriate concerns. Considering the burn, considering we weren't in revenue service at that time with our software product, and it forced some changes upon us. The process forces you to get to the right place or you're not going to survive. And we have done that, and we're surviving. Not only are we surviving, we are thriving. We've entered revenue service. We have Staples as a customer, Symantec's in a pilot, Thomson Reuters.
We got to cut you off for 2 seconds there.
Just a second, because we have to welcome our radio listeners
who
are joining us from Sirius and XM. Thank you for being here. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns. We have the makings of an incredible discussion here because we have a businessman who just raised venture capital, and sitting next to him is a VC who turned him down at one point.
But I think it's a bigger picture. Well, first of all, if you have a question about starting your small business, email us, call us, email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Call us, 877-249-9626. But I love this because
let's bring everybody in. Just tell everybody who's here really quickly. John Rutledge is here. Dani Babb. Joe Clark is still here. Our special guest is Earl Gallagher of Basho Technologies. It's a software company. And then sitting next to him is Don Rainey of GrowTech Ventures, who Earl pitched to. But Don, I want you to answer Earl. I want you to say, what did he do, like, what was in your decision making when you said no?
Well, part of it was I lost my temper in the meeting.
No, seriously, I want to know the story.
That works sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't that day.
Clear. It can be very clear. Well, you know, I want to riff on something before we talk specifically about his decision up or down. When you go to raise money, you're telling a story about the business. And sometimes as you're telling the story, you're not telling it in a way that's compelling. And sometimes as you do it long enough, the story itself changes.
That's right.
And one of the harder things to do is to realize what is flawed here. Is it my storytelling, or is it the underlying story? In Earl's case, I think that we saw you perhaps early in the process. And if you've got to raise money and you're a typical entrepreneur, you're going to talk to and pitch a lot of people. And the story's going to change, and the storytelling is going to change. And we always advise people that are going into it, if you think that you've got a really good capital group that's really well suited to what you want to do, put them down the list.
Yeah, go to them last.
Go to them last.
Yeah. It's
go
like
to them
else, right?
after a while. As the story improves, as the storytelling improves, get your best prospect to be the 10th firm. Earl's right in the sense that venture capitalists are very concerned about the types of risks they take today. You know, the big one for venture capitalists, which is not maybe a classical risk, is capital market risk. If you give a company $1 million today, and it, by definition, has to go raise another $1 million in a year, you have a dependency on the state of the capital markets when that first million is gone. And that's a very murky, cloudy, confused situation, the capital market. So the risk that venture capitalists are very concerned about taking are capital market risks. You have to put so much money in, it dilutes the investment today, and it's a very difficult decision criteria. As it relates to Basho, the company that Earl pitched, it's a wonderful company, and Earl is a star entrepreneur who's made a lot of money for a lot of different companies through his career, and that had to be one of the big pluses. He's surrounded, the company's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's got first-tier, really bright young people as managers. It's an interesting system that augments and provides intelligence to salespeople. Salespeople typically that fail spend too much time selling to people who are not going to buy. And this is a system that allows them to measure the gives. What did you give to the customer? What did you get in terms of commitments, meetings, and other knowledge? And to give the salesperson a feedback loop that says, if this sale doesn't start progressing soon or materially, it's never going to happen. And enables an organization by use of the tool to keep its salespeople from not selling to people who aren't going to buy, which is, at the end of the day, a real plus. It was a system that I think that we had difficulty understanding how universally it would be applied, how customers would come to adopt it, how they would come to use it, how it would work with their other tools. And it's sometimes, when you have to make a decision and you don't know, you give a maybe. And a maybe is, let's see how it turns out.
Did he lose his temper? Did you lose your temper?
Well, I'm spirited in some of these meetings because, you know, you really have to, appropriately, you have to swallow your pride a great deal when you try and raise venture capital money. Venture capitalists look at business models all day long. And you put your heart and soul into a business, and frankly, you've made venture capitalists a lot of money in the past, so you'd think you'd get plenty of time and attention from them, but you don't. And you sit down with them for 2 minutes and they're snip, snip, snip. That's what's wrong with your business. Be on your way. And so at times,
well, because you take
frustrated.
it personally, because it is your baby, and it's like someone ripping apart your kid when you walk in there. I get that.
Well, more importantly is not, I don't care about my baby. My children I do, of course. Sorry, baby. But I'm more concerned about the employees and the survival of the enterprise. And when you have a startup, the fuse is burning.
Right.
And I know to the date when we're running out of money right now. We run out of money this August 5th, again. So, and I have a plan in line, but I spend every day, 80% of my day today is money. And that's what I do 80% of the time. 20% of I have a great management team, some of the best technologists out of Akamai Technologies and Apple building this application, which a really important thing that Don said was, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to go out and look for venture capital money, go to the firms you don't care so much about first and get your story figured out. And you're going to get good guidance from all those firms. All these firms have good thinkers. And then you improve your business model and you have time to prove it out a little bit, and then go to the firms that you actually want the money from. I didn't do it that way. I went to Venrock first, which was, it's the Rockefeller family.
But John, I think to me, like what I'm hearing out of this is the upshot is people are forced to totally downsize, cut costs, streamline completely, almost take everything back to basics. As he said, back to the one thing they do right. I mean, this, in a way, is very good for businesses all around.
Well, the word you heard from Earl more than any other word is survive.
Yep.
And I've raised money myself in the past. It's somebody described it to me as like having 10,000 business interviews for a job you don't really want. And it's really tough. From the venture capitalist end, from Don's end of the telescope, it's like you're standing there at the bat. You can take 1,000 pitches waiting for the perfect pitch. You don't have to do anything. So you can be tremendously selective. And today, because the banks are shut down, a lot of what would have been bank business is crowding into the private equity market. I can make 30% today on car loans from people with 750 FICO scores. So it's got to be really good. And a capital market is a year away probably. There haven't been any IPOs in a long time. So it's a very tough time. So the very best thing is the willingness to get in there and refine your story, find the right partner, but also cut the cost to fit the cloth. You've got to be able or willing to change your business if survival and commitment is really what you're there about.
And that applies. I don't care how.
That's
small.
every business.
I don't
that's
care.
what I'm saying.
I've had that discussion repeatedly with friends who own their own businesses, whether it's a hair salon, whether it's a software company. Repeatedly, that is the conversation.
You run a business by refusing to fail. You just keep at it, and keep at it.
And even if you're not looking for money, one good takeaway here is that you need to find what your core competencies are and streamline that business, whether you're looking for money or not, because it will help you survive the down economies, or just when your product line is becoming stale and you're innovating.
Earl, when you get ready to pitch, do you pitch in front of your family first? Do you pitch in front of the mirror? No, I'm serious. But should you do?
Because they throw tomatoes at me.
No, but should people do that though? Rather than if you want to hone your pitch, you start at home.
Well, I think
don't know.
some people might. You know, I've been in technology for 20 years, and in fact, Don's firm was an investor in Digex, which I was the president of their hosting business. So I've been doing this since 1993. And so I don't default to my family to get guidance on technology. There's plenty that I seek from my family, guidance and otherwise. But how to pitch, I think what you should do is pitch to friendly angels or friendly people who may not necessarily invest but have an understanding of the category. Your family's not going to be helpful, candidly.
But I was thinking of just making it as clear as possible. So to someone who maybe doesn't know the business.
Well, if I knew
does that
Don,
make sense? You see where I'm going with that?
It does. This is a subject I write about in a blog quite a bit. But the one thing that I would say to somebody that, regardless of to a venture capitalist or to any investment source, you want to come in with three things. This is what I know. This is my body of work. This is my lifetime of experience. This is what I know about aircraft manufacturing tools. And this is what I believe. From that body of knowledge, I believe in the future there'll be a market for this new type of tool. And this is what I don't know. I've never been the head of a company. I've never sold anything to anybody in my life. But I know this industry. I believe there's an opportunity. And this is what I don't know about myself. And most of the times you can say to somebody, hey, okay, we can work with that. We're gonna compensate for your shortcomings. We're okay with you being the CEO. You're going to be a little bit on a short leash because you haven't done this before. The big thing we want from entrepreneurs is that knowledge. They know an industry, they see an opportunity, and they're aware of their own boundaries.
I can't wait for the next 45 minutes, but we got to take a quick break. Your questions about your business when we come back. Stay with us, everybody.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday. We have a load of fabulous people here. Call us, email us. On the line is Anthony from South Carolina asking about auctioneering. Anthony, what's your question?
Well, hello there, and I must say your handlers are wonderful people. They've just been holding on to me for the last few minutes. I'm telling you, they've been holding my virtual hand.
Cool.
Let me just say, I'm one of those people who started my bailout process some years ago after having been in the IT world for about 20 years. Businesses and jobs started drying up. Found myself working on eBay. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that place?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, eBay is now kind of upticking. They're trying to kind of hang on to the big guys who are doing the volume sales.
Right.
And the difficulty is now that what I've done is I've gone out, I've got myself a little LLC and tried to set myself in a little auction business. I've actually gone out and got myself an auction license, an auctioneer license. Mm-hmm. Only I don't really want to have a brick and mortar.
Right.
Now, I've gone to yard sales, flea markets, storage auctions, and all that kind of stuff, and that's great when you're trying to make a little side money. But if you really want to step this thing up and be an auctioneer who's going to work on venues like live auctions, commerce, that kind of thing, you're going to have volume, you're going to have product sourcing, and you're going to have the kind of business credit that will allow you to buy in volume quickly and or even drop ship. So my problem is I'm kind of stuck between the storage unit and the great big world of e-commerce.
All right, Dani, you got to hop in here.
All right. First of all, Anthony, I hear you about eBay. I have been an auctioneer there since, I think, 3 months after they opened. And they're changing the rules so much that people like you and I who want to do legitimate auctions, it's almost impossible, because they're going for the flat rate people and the real stores and all that stuff. So here's what I would recommend that you do. I would sign up for a reseller account with eBay for about 60 days and pay their insane fees and get access to the wholesale lists of companies that sell products to wholesalers for auctioneers for eBay, and then I would discontinue the account and use your own e-commerce site.
That help? I think he's gone.
He's gone. Okay. I mean, it's
that helps you get the inventory. It helps you get the resources, and you're paying about $100 for it.
All right. So we got to go to commercial. We want to give a shout out to our radio listeners on Sirius Channel 145 and XM 168. We'll be back in a minute. Get your calls and emails ready.
Welcome back. I'm Dana McDowell along with Tracy Burns. This is the Fox Business Network, Your Questions, Your Money, Your Business. Welcome back, everybody. I wanted to touch on, we were talking in the break, because again, you won't fire it up. We're fired up. We can't stop talking about this. Because Earl Gallagher is here, and he is the founder, CEO of Basho Technologies. He's sitting next to Don Rainey, venture capitalist from Grow Tech Ventures. And you have incredible marketing experience, and we were talking about it in the commercial, that you market to enterprises, giant corporations, but you do things that people would love to hear about in terms of marketing, and even Don mentioned one. But just, I wanted you to jump in here.
Well, I actually am a partner in an advertising firm we started 3 years ago that's going well. It's Gaga Marketing, Gaga Nation, and we do a lot of casino marketing and marketing for Four Seasons and things like that. And it's interesting in the marketing world, the massive transition that's advertisements in publications and TV commercials to going to all this digital media, podcasting, blogging, getting a Twitter account, social media, Facebook. Like in other, for me to when I coming on this show, that's okay, big deal for a little company like us. Well, I of course sent an email to all constituents. I posted it on Facebook. I put it on my LinkedIn account. I'm appearing so hopefully you got 5,000, well, maybe 500 more viewers today because of my efforts. But there's a lot of ways you can get your messaging out to constituents that matter to you, because there's a lot of hooks in the internet that are following you today, things like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all kinds of social media type things that you can market yourself through.
Without money.
Without money.
That's the key. Everybody calling us thinks they need a lot of money to start a business.
$5 million.
You don't need the money. You need a business that can work, and you need to be able to go after this marketing without the cash.
And you've watched his podcast.
What I really enjoyed that they do.
Listen.
Yeah, they do podcasts, and they put them up on iTunes, and they're free. And so their particular zeal and passion is sales and marketing, and these are lessons in and discussions about sales and marketing. I love that as a marketing methodology, because if you're operating retail or you're operating anything for which it might be a hobby for people, or for which they might be a little intimidated to get started in whatever it is you're selling, a podcast allows them to quietly look in this, investigate it, discover it, and then to come into the store with questions. A lot of people are just introverted, a little shy, and you want to get them started on a hobby of skating, skiing, scrapboarding, and they want that first lesson to be done on their own. And then they say, hey, this is for me, and they can come in the store. So that is, in a retail operation or an e-commerce site, we've posted what we're selling here, and download them for free, and it's just a discussion. It doesn't have to be high production value. You can do it on any Macintosh.
Yep.
When you become the educator to a constituent of people, you also create a heck of a loyal following that will follow you and support your business for years.
That's a great point. The Bash Show Sales Warrior podcast, we have a community of 5,000 people that go to our podcast every week. And I think we're the number 5 leading business and marketing podcast on iTunes.
But that's one thing that I've learned for free.
For free.
All right, let's go to AJ from Arizona, calling in on the phone. He's got a question for Dani. What's your question?
Dani Babb, first of all, let me tell you that I think you absolutely rock. I've been on hold, I've been exploring your website, and I'm just amazed.
Thank you.
But enough buttering you up. My question to in politics. And so what I'd like to do is move towards a business of just consulting and just starting my own thing. You know, I don't want to have to try to raise $1 billion and buy a huge building. I want to be able to work from home in my pajamas and put on
That's what I do.
Only when I need to go meet clients. How do I do that? Because obviously you've made that transition from corporate America into consult.
Well, no talent, ass clowns in corporate America, and I've been waiting all show to say that line.
Yeah.
All right, so first of all, you have 11 years experience and 11 years of contacts in marketing and PR. So you're going to want to harness these contacts and begin to really take hold of them, note them, put them in Outlook, anything you can do to make sure that you take them with you. Then you're going to want to start to build this business on the side so you can still pay your bills, save as much money as you possibly can because you don't know when you're going to need it. And build the business on the side while you're still in corporate America. Now, you have a decision point at some point down the road, and that is your boss going to be friendly fire or going to be enemy fire? And if you decide the boss is enemy fire, you're going to want to keep this on the down low and not tell anyone. The boss is going to be friendly fire. He or she may be your biggest advocate to actually helping you market yourself when you leave. Like, you know, so AJ's leaving the business, and we wish him well, and here's the name of his new company, and, you know, go for it, and that person can actually be your advocate. So you all have that decision point to make. When you know you have enough money, my rule was when I was making 50% of what I was making in corporate America in my side job, I quit corporate America and transitioned to my side job. And then I was able to put 150% effort into that to make it actually work. You have to figure out what that number is for you. But keep the contacts, make sure you stay in contact with them, get them all on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social networking sites. You can make it clear when things are up and running. And also use this time. You know, I would go to lunch with one of my best friends there, and we would work on my website just to make sure that everything was up and running on launch day. So I wish you well. I think it's fantastic.
First, it's also true that your first customer could be your current employer.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, because you're leaving a hole in that organization, they might at least for a while want to retain you in your new service. And the second thing is, don't buy a chair, don't rent an office, don't buy a desk, don't buy anything. Zero overhead until you get this thing up good cash flow.
John, is it a really good time to be a consultant, though? I mean, no one wants to put payroll.
The cover of Time,
right? Benefits. You just cut all my costs.
The cover of Time magazine this week is called "The Future of Work."
I saw it.
And basically, it means you work for nobody else. You work for yourself. You have no retirement plan. You never retire. But it's a lot of fun, and you can make a lot of money.
And a lot of your clients may all be virtual, just like you're talking about, staying in your pajamas. That's honestly what I do a lot of the time.
From bed.
And people call us all the time trying to ask, how can I get somebody to do my PR and marketing with me? Those are your customers.
All right. I want you to weigh in. I want you to weigh in on this.
Well, that's not really my.
I know, no, but you know marketing and sales. You know how.
Well, I agree with her.
You run a business, and you run, and because he talks about working in the horrid corporate world, and that's part of your focus to make sure it doesn't turn into that. I know that you don't have, it's
well.
Not as big as
the internet has permitted location to be less relevant. And so it's quite possible to go out and do your own thing now and not be as dependent upon where you're sitting. I think your counsel was the best, which is once you explore something, don't let go of your day job, because we've all got to make a living. But get your revenue up in that to the point where you can hit a break point, where you can put your energies against it full time. But be careful, it's treacherous, because once you are out on your own, you're fully dependent on yourself, and that's a scary place to be.
One thing about working as a consultant is you should get well versed in the contractual arrangements and do a good job of taking retainers, because anybody that's worked in consulting will tell you you can do great work, and the client's here and the accounting department is way over there, and getting the money out the other side can be an arduous process. So anybody that was going to start as a consultant, I'd say be aggressive, but get deposits, get retainers, get yourself paid, do the work.
And keep your costs down.
Yeah.
Everybody, the first thing they think of is, okay, I got to get my stationery and I got to get my little office and I feel like I'm in business. But the reality is, keep it as lean as you can, particularly if it's your money and it's your income and it's all about you. Don't spend money if you don't have to.
And figure out what you did and didn't like in corporate America after 11 years. What part of your job did you hate? What part of your job did you love? And make sure you keep the hate part out, or you're going to hate your own business in no time.
Wow. Great words all the way around. You know what's coming up? Don, get ready. The pitch. Next on Fox Business.
The only place where you can pitch your idea to a venture capitalist. Love it. Stay with us. I love that graphic. All right, welcome back. Your questions, your money on the Fox Business Network. I'm Tracy Burns along with Dagan McDowell. It's time.
We don't just love the graphic. We love the segment. The pitch, where a budding entrepreneur gets to pitch his or her business idea to a venture capitalist. Our in-house VC today is Don Rainey of GrowTech Ventures, and on the phone is Christopher Lasich, who is joining us on the horn from Youngstown, Ohio. Christopher, go ahead, pitch away.
Okay, the business concept is called Life Issues, and it would basically operate in the virtual world via the internet, possibly by direct mail, and also anywhere people congregate, such as malls, airports, fairs, city places in a city. It basically would allow the consumer to identify their life issues to either to the company, either via an electronic questionnaire or via personal interview. In turn, my company would then try to connect them. Hopefully our revenue model would be through finder's fees or some other percentage basis, connect them to companies such as an Ameriprise, a law firm, possibly, Fox even. Anywhere we can get the message out, get the word together, make connections. And the concept basically was born because as an attorney, I realized that a lot of people really don't know about their life issues. They may hear the concept of retirement or saving for college, but they really don't connect the dots. We may have a literal population, but not necessarily a sophisticated or educated one. That doesn't mean we can't be. So we would basically be in the position of connecting people and identifying their life issues, and it could even be medical issues, it could be promotional products, many different ways that my proprietary software would then connect this consumer with the companies that we would partner with, and thus we would identify their life issues.
Don?
So it combines a lot of things that have worked. I mean, from the psychic hotlines to about.com, and so there's a lot very much to follow up here, and quite a bit of intriguing. What's the typical problem, and what do you think the magnitude of it is economically to the buyer?
Well, what I, practicing family law primarily in Ohio and Pennsylvania, I basically would interview people who are my clients or potential clients, and, you basically hear their life story from A to Z, including a lot of things dealing with finances. And so people would say to me, well, yeah, we've saved for college. Well, how old's your child? Well, 16. and then they'd show me 2 bank books that have about $300 in them. Or someone might know about the Roth IRA but not really know how to get started. Maybe they don't even have a concept that there's a show out here called Fox Business. So I'm trying to basically connect the dots. I think we don't process information as well as we should in this country, and that's part of this, that we're trying to basically connect people for their particular life issues. For example, someone may have a mortgage at 11% interest. They just have never got around to, being connected with someone that could help them refinance it lower. That would be an example also.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a handle of, will the people that need the help ask for the help? What is the hurdle of the problem? When you initially posed this, I thought it might be people with smaller problems. What do we do this weekend, or how do I deal with my recalcitrant teenager?
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. And, so life dilemmas is additional to financial problems, because a lot of people struggle and think, well, what do I do? I'm in a jam, or I don't understand this, and I need to know and talk to somebody who does. I've never been in this place before. Do you envision asking them after the fact? How do you go back to the consumer if you make a match, they go and get the service? Do you talk to them about their experience after the fact?
That would certainly be something I would consider. I mean, I think the way this might have to work is maybe outline some test concepts in selected regions, cities, possibly even countries. See how it goes initially. Again, the scale is pretty big, I think, and originally I was focused on finances and those type of important life issues, but it could be anyone that maybe doesn't know how to book a trip to Mexico, and that person then says, well, we then connect them to, American Airlines or something like that.
Don, it sounds like the pitch needs honing a great deal.
People have all kinds of dilemmas, right? Some are life started with his problems, right? Some are simpler, and so what people really typically want is, I'm faced with a dilemma. Can you give me data on what other people faced with the same dilemma that are similarly situated to myself decided? And ideally, show me those 4 things that they decided, and of those that chose each option, who was happiest, right? The other thing they typically want is, in my stead, what would an expert do? Now, people will not become experts and may not be able to afford to avail themselves of experts, but what an expert would do is a useful perspective. This is on the line of an expert, but I think that people would hire the expert when they're a little further downstream of the dilemma.
Right.
They need to know, they need to get some initial steering and then down the path. I love the idea of people reaching out and solving information with the wisdom of a crowd, the wisdom of experts. But I think the feedback loop has to be clearer to be compelling.
Well, an idea is not a business, and this is in the idea stage, right?
Well, this is a worthwhile service. I think that there's a market for this service.
What does he do next?
I think he hones in on the people specifically whose problems he wants to answer, and to the best that he can, identify the spectrum of problems.
But I think you were asking
do it in Youngstown? Can he just do this in
do it
Youngstown
anyway.
and print the model?
That's an important point, because people who get an idea like that, I'd be very careful about mortgaging the house and say, okay, I'm going to go with this, because I'll tell you 2 practical realities with the venture capital world, and for an entrepreneur such as your caller. If he's thinking of it from Youngstown, I guarantee you there's 100 other people considering something around the same problem, probably out in Silicon Valley. So number 1, he probably wants to get a prototype built to test it a little bit. But number 2, at the end of the day, if he's going to build out a technology company, he's going to have to be, and it's an application-based business, he's going to have to be out in Silicon Valley.
On that note, Mint.com, for example, we've had Aaron Patzer on a couple of times. They essentially do this with finances. The service is free. I mean, I think we've all used it. You put your information in, and it literally, the technology looks at your situation and says, hey, you paying too much for your mortgage. They get money from the bank or the lender that would maybe give you a cheaper mortgage. But again, that's already out there, and that kind of touches on what Earl's talking about. Don?
Yeah. I think that there's a market in the people, whatever people define as their own dilemmas, what they're trying to figure out, what they're searching on the internet, and that would be a very good proxy. I guess it's 30–40% of the queries on Google are now posed as questions. Mm-hmm. So people are going to the internet, turning to the internet for advice. They'll do some research, but what they're beginning to really want, and in a sense deserve, is the experts, what people that have been there before have said, what the demonstrated track record of people that have this problem have done.
We got to jump to break, but quickly, how was his pitch?
I like it. It's good. I think it's important that he gets in there that he was an attorney, because he's been in the business of selling services, and that, yeah, I understood that he knew how to sell advice for money. And
what's
that's
next
important.
for him?
Honing in on an audience, honing in on a set of problems. I think finance is a little big a bear to try to take down with the first shot.
Thank you. Thank you to all. That was great.
That was
and
good
thank you,
stuff.
Christopher. Hopefully that was
Good luck,
helpful.
Christopher.
Good luck out
Good
there.
luck to you.
Good luck, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
More of your questions and answers to them about your business. Stay with us.
Hi, welcome back. Your questions, your money. We got 15 minutes left, and we got Shelly from California calling in asking about a small business from home. Shelly, what's your question?
My question is, I've been collecting fine vintage products for 30 years now, and I have enough inventory to fill a small warehouse. Wow. I just have about anything you're looking for, can find it. But my question is, how do I find my market from a home-based business?
Who wants to jump in?
I would start with forums that are about your particular product in the area that you're in. Myself.
What was it that you collected again?
Well, I collect everything. I collect good old pottery, Barbie dolls, all kinds of vintage dolls, good sculpture, expensive fabrics, good art. So I've got everything. You name it, I have it, or I can find it.
You know what, Shelly, one thing I would do is narrow it down to 5 categories and then go to groups.yahoo.com and type in the names, groups.yahoo.com, and type in the names of those categories. Okay. And then post to those forums and begin to get people to know about you. And then as you start to develop your business model, you'll already have an inherent group of people, because you're answering a lot of these people out there. They want to know, you know, I have this Barbie doll. How do I identify it? And I know that one because my mother asks those questions all the time. I have this Barbie doll. How do I identify it? When you become the educator of those people, they're going to start to follow you when you create your business. So I would jump into forums.
Okay, and the forum, is that F-O-R-U-M?
Yep, F-O-R-U-M, and it's groups.yahoo.com.
Okay, groups.yahoo.com. Okay, I've got that.
Good.
All right. That's it?
Yeah,
well,
that's the place to start.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this before I get off the line. I was listening to the program. This is the most outstanding and innovative program I've seen in years. And I was listening to some other folks, and they were talking about eBay, WEB 2.0, Link, Twitter, Facebook, podcast, and direct mail. Would those all be something that would be something that I would look into outside of a forum group?
Yep,
I say go for it.
Absolutely, and you'll also want to create a blog and start blogging every week about your finds and the things that you find interesting and get a following there. But you may even be able to start to sell on eBay. The fees are pretty high right now, but maybe even create an eBay store as the beginning of your business.
Oh, good. That's great. Well, I am so glad I waited.
We are too. Good luck.
Thank you.
John want to go to another quick call. John is calling from Illinois. John, go ahead. What do you want to know?
I have a small business, and I want to expand my small business. And I own the property, and I have some property that's next to it. And I want to raise capital off the property that's next to it. It's got a lease. Someone's leasing the property, a long-term lease. So I want to know, where would I start looking for capital? Because the merchandise that I need to buy, I can buy it at 20% less than what I'm paying if I pay at the door.
Joe, did you hear that question? I want you to weigh in. We left you hanging out there, my man.
Hey, it's been a great show and great conversation, so I've enjoyed it. Nothing like learning something while you're working.
Amen.
I think the point is when you look at the lease next door, that long-term lease, you've got to look at that as a receivable. And there are people who will literally give you money up front if that is a good receivable. You have two forms of capital or collateral there. One is the value of the land, but the other is that incoming receipt as long as it's leased out from a good company. You may not be able to go to an ordinary bank to get a loan on that, but there are factoring companies that will loan money against receivables. There's also companies that will loan money against future payments as well.
Okay, and where would I start looking for them type of companies? What would I look under? Do I go to the internet and look? Or
Fortunately, God made Google. And you go in and you type in Google, and factoring is one of the words that you want to look for. And if you type it in, but you can actually go in and just type your request. Lease payments and revenue, things of those natures. It'll pop up plenty of choices. In a half an hour, my friend, you will have an answer that will probably work for you.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, just quickly, you're a small business too. I mean, we always come to you for personal finance advice, but you're a small business as well. I mean, what are you doing? Are you considering expanding in this market? People are looking for financial advice right now more than ever.
Yeah, we've actually, there have been more people in my industry that have left this year than last year. And so what's happened is there's a lot of people that are out there that we refer to as orphaned. So you've got to take the dynamic of what you do, whether it's my business or any business, I think, and understand whether you're the absolute best provider of that service, because the internet will track down the best people, whether they're in Anderson, Indiana, or whether they're in Manhattan or Silicon Valley. They will find you. Or you have to offer the broadest basis of surface and get to the end provider. So we try to focus on one end. I want to stay away from the direct mail and the things that cost. What we try to do is to provide our content. And as one of your hosts said earlier, it was on Facebook today that I was here. We put it out on Twitter that I was here. That's what we do, just getting people to know where to find us. And the wonderful web is just a great place to get your message out. You either want traffic or eyeballs. We're at yourlifeafterwork.com. It makes sense. People know what it means. They can find us, and we continue to build our story that way. And I think you have to understand right now, for a lot of people, we're planting. We'll harvest later. But you want to have business that's coming in today, and you want to have business that's coming in the future. And that's why it's so good to have the crew of people I think you do on the show today to talk about that whole broad base. But it is so true. People think you have to have $1 million to start a business, and you don't. But you have to be willing to be tight, and don't spend a dime on overhead you don't have to spend.
You got to plant. That's what it comes down to.
Wise words, my man. Thank you. We've got, a few minutes left. We got to take a quick break. Stay with us, everybody.
We got to go right to the phones. Jean is on the line from Missouri. Hey, Jean, what's your question?
Hi, Tracy and Dagan. I have an idea to expand on a current product that's out on the market. People buy them every day. It's mostly a novelty product, but I want to make it both more functional and fun. And I think they're just going to fly off the shelves or out my door, whichever. My concern is that if it flies off like I think it's going to, I don't think that I'd be able to keep up with the assembly and distribution with my current facility. How do I go about making this happen? Is it better to go to a company with this idea or to try and do it myself? How do I market it?
First, you're not going to tell us what it is, I take it?
I'd rather not.
Okay. And was it touched by Oprah? Because, I mean, otherwise, flying off the shelves... With a little gumption, I think you could probably pull it off, right?
Oh, I think it will. It's something that people buy every day. They use it every day. If you turn around 3 times today, you're going to see somebody buying it.
But I think that... Go ahead, Dan.
Well, okay, so you have an existing business already, and now you want to add this to the product line? Is that what I understand?
No. I currently have a business, but it's service-oriented. This is totally separate from that.
Totally new. So what about, is somebody else already selling it?
No. There is a basic product on the market right now. I want to take that product and expand on it and make it more fun and functional and it's something people buy regularly every other day.
But does she need, I guess her question is, does she have to go buy a factory?
No, the real question is does the person who's selling the product you want to change own a copyright or a trademark or a patent?
That's true.
Where they're going to crawl up your tailpipe if you bring it to market?
No. Okay.
What about selling the idea to, remember the gentleman who on the TV sales with the pet egg?
Oh, AJ Kubani.
Yeah, AJ Kubani. You can essentially hand your idea over and you get a small piece of the business, right? And have somebody else sell it for you and make it.
Yeah, and that's one. There's also overstock that you could get this distributed out to, but you are going to have to deal with the distribution issue. I would think that the worst problem you could possibly have is the one that you're worried about.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is too many sales. And at which point
that's not a problem.
Yeah, that's actually a really good thing. At which point you can very quickly get people on board within a matter of a couple of weeks to produce and get this thing out the door. I would think that you'd want to first test it out and make sure that your premise is right, that you are going to be able to sell as many of these as you can. And then if that's true, get everything, all your ducks in a row, and then go for it and push it to its limit.
Okay.
One of the most common things that destroy businesses is early on is when people are afraid to put it out because they think somebody else is going to steal it or run with it, or they're going to be too big too quick. You know, start small, keep overhead down. It'll work.
Make some money.
Earl, I want to get some final words from you. Just words of inspiration. Whatever you want to say. Well, we're cable, but
I'll tell you, for after us having presented to 70 venture capital firms, going to like 30 angel firms, going through what's essentially a depression in the fall of last year, and to be alive is the most, and our whole team at the company are so committed to what we're doing. When we were running out of cash, they cut their salaries down to just to cover their rent and food. 9 people just covering rent and food for 3 months till I could find some money. We are going to make it, and somebody else is going to get involved with us financially. Our board is excited. You're going to hear more about Basho Technologies.
Don, give us some words of advice before we have to go.
You know, be passionate, like Earl. I mean, he's a wonderful example of you know, a lot of businesses succeed solely on the willpower and the determination and the commitment of their founders.
Don,
he's a great example.
Don Rainey, Earl Gallagher, Danny, John, and Joe Clark, thanks to all of you. We will see you come Monday morning. Fox Business.